through your freedom.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. This is going to be a very hard-hitting, very sensitive video for preppers, patriots, Americans, people of the world. Who is really in the HTF Sandbox? For real, who is really there causing problems? Now, do you think you're getting the truth out of the media? I don't think you would think that, but a lot of people seem to be buying this pro-Ukrainian crap. Now, there's a lot of bad players in history, and there's a lot of bad players who have been in that sandbox. Communists murdered tens of millions of people in the Soviet Union, China, and around the world. For the last 100 years, they've been murdering people left and right. In World War II, the Nazis murdered, killed millions of people, including communists, and also including Americans. And I'm not going to pretend that the West, that France, Spain, England, America, Canada, I'm not going to pretend like they're innocent. I know about their secret medical experiments. I know about their experiments that are now public. I know what they've done, folks. I know it. I get it. No country, as in no government, is innocent and absolutely the good guys. I get it. But in this instance, where we're at now, who is in the sandbox taking a leak and making smelly bombs? Who is here? We're being told Ukraine is the victim in this. And I've been taking and showing the perspective of Putin and Russia and saying, hey, look, they don't like they're being threatened. They don't like seeing plunder. They don't like their people being hurt. Because there are ethnic Russians and Russians who live in Ukraine. It's a military risk. It's a military threat. Now, who is really in the sandbox? I mean, I like to bring up theory. I like to bring up facts. I like to bring up ideas and share them with you because we all need to be prepared with all those items and the plans. We need to have an understanding of where we're going and heading as we travel through time and move through history. We need to have an understanding so we can be prepared. And then I like to give evidence. We've got some very bad players in Ukraine. I've mentioned, folks, that the Ukrainian government itself is selling out the country. I have said that Western interests have an interest, a financial interest, a corporate interest, a business interest in Ukraine because of all of its natural resources, agricultural products, etc. Energy makes the world go around. I've talked about the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab. I've talked about George Soros. I've talked about Bill Gates. We've talked about all these people, folks, and they see the world not through the same lens that you and I see. They look at the world as a smorgasbord that they have gotten in line, and when they get to the table, they will take what they want. Okay. Now, Putin, seeing all this, I've said, is justified if you understand their perspective. Doesn't mean you have to like it, doesn't mean you have to agree with it, but you have to understand their perspective. They don't need the military threat, and they don't like seeing the damage done by these globalist cabals and their politicians. You know, Hunter Biden sitting on Burisma. Reminder. Now, who is really in the sandbox? We were told that you know, Ukraine, they're just a bunch of innocent people, right? Putin and his government said that Russia was in there and they were going to clean out the Nazis. They were going to denazify Ukraine. Was that hyperbole? Was it bullshit? Was it propaganda? You know, here in America, the United States of America, right? Don't discount Putin, because here in the United States of America, What is our government saying? That you, folks, patriots, veterans, Americans, constitutionalists, libertarians, you are as good as Nazis because you are white supremacists. You are domestic terrorists. Our own government has labeled us that. Racist goes with white supremacist, goes with Nazi. They tie everybody together. Really, folks, you as a parent are domestic terrorists to your own government. And we're supposed to believe our own government in the mainstream media now because they're not talking about us, but because they're talking about someone else. Putin said Russia was targeting Nazis. Well, guess who is really in the sandbox? Was he wrong? Well, I have identified and labeled people like Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum, the Biden administration and the Biden family, and many others. I've implicated them in the profit taking, the business opportunists who are in Ukraine. And I have said they are pillaging that country. Well, who is there to supposedly defend them, right? If I came to this chair right here and I wore on my sleeve the swastika, the Nazi swastika, if I wore that, would you say, John's an American, but he's wearing the swastika? Does that make him a Nazi? Why would you wear a symbol of fascist Nazi Germany? Why would you wear that symbol, John? Right? You would have no choice but to conclude. Right? And we can all agree. We can say the communists did bad things. We can say the Nazis did some horrifying things. Why would you want to have the symbol of either? I wouldn't want the sickle and hammer any more than I would want the Nazi swastika. But if I wore that, we all kind of understand they're the bad guys. You know, it's really hard to come up with a way to justify murdering and killing millions of people and going and starting World War III. World War II. Right? So if I wore the sickle and hammer and an armband, the symbol of communism, or if I wore the symbol of fascist Nazi, you would say, John, you're a bad guy. You shouldn't be wearing that. You're identifying with that by wearing a symbol that is understood by not just the elites and not just the ignorant, but everybody agrees it's a symbol of an evil regime. Now, what do we have in Ukraine, folks? Who is in the sandbox? Well, there is Nazis out there, folks, and they are wearing the symbols of Nazi Germany. The Azov Battalion is a battalion, folks. A battalion is not a fire team or a platoon. A battalion is a very large group. Okay, a battalion is a lot of people, and they all wear their symbol, and their symbol is a yellow field. Their symbol is the lightning S's, right? That was a symbol worn by the SS, Nazi Germany, World War II. The SS, Heinrich Himmler, head of the SS, right, is Hitler's private, personal protection. I mean, there's the regular German stormtroopers and regular German bad guys and regular German Nazis. There was the Gestapo that wore the swastika on their arm, and then there's the SS. Okay. Putin said, we're there to denazify Ukraine. You see, at a certain level, when you get up there in the military, at a certain level, when you're up there in business, at a certain level, when you're up there in government, it becomes naked. It is naked as to who you are, what you stand for, what you believe, and what you are doing. You know, Americans, folks, have not heard of the Azov Battalion. Apparently, NBC News was also unaware. And on February 14th, it showed propaganda, right? It showed the Ukraine military training people. It showed soldiers delivering basic training for the whole family, weapons training, first aid training, right? NBC filmed the Azov Battalion. And I'm asking Jolene to show a picture of them from this NBC report wearing the SS symbols. You know, it's not just a cool symbol, folks. It means something, right? Wearing a symbol inspired by Nazi Germany, by Himmler's SS, kind of says this is who we are. It's not just a cool looking symbol, folks. It means something. Now, I understand symbology. I've studied it. I've read about it for decades. I understand symbology. A lot of symbols have multiple meanings, right? Symbology is understood. There is symbology in the Catholic Church. There's symbology in the Christian Church. There's symbology in the Jewish Church. There's symbology in the Muslim Church. There's symbology outside of the church, in business, in groups. You know, whether you're an elk, a lion, a moose, or a mason, there's symbology. What are you saying with the symbology is pretty important, right? It says a lot. We have military wearing Nazi insignia in Ukraine. Does that symbolize that this sandbox has a lot of bad players in it on all sides? On all sides. Again, we know Russia is Russia. Bad, you know, just being Russian and makes them bad, apparently. And American, we're just supposed to believe that's good because you're America. Why is America then, if they're so good, supporting a country that has this type of military? Russia, even though they're not communist anymore, they look at this symbol, this military, and their officers and their leaders and say, we see Nazis. It's not the bullshit lie that the FBI, the Department of Justice, and Merrick Garland are saying, which is parents are domestic terrorists. And if you're a white supremacist, you're a Nazi in America if you don't agree with the political left. It's unbelievable, folks. It's unbelievable to see what's going on in this sandbox if you really start looking. And that is why I'm here with you, to really pay attention, to really understand and realize that none of these guys are 100% good. Some of them are 100% rotten. Most of them, if not all, are lying, using propaganda, psychological warfare, information warfare, communications warfare, digital or cyber warfare tactics. But just going to the very root of it, are they good guys or bad guys? Why are they there in that sandbox? Are they there because they want democracy and freedom? Or are they there because the status quo of crony capitalism was in place, aka fascism? And there was a military threat. I try and keep it simple by studying all the sides, all the information. I share that with you and say, you can come up with your own conclusion. If you want to believe, right? If you want to believe that everyone's good, go ahead. Or one side is always good and one side is always bad, fine. I like to take all the information and say, now I'm mentally prepared to deal with all of the information. By having a neutral perspective, I can understand it. Sounds like we're doing some work in one of the other offices. And I was about to wrap this up anyway. Chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. Understand who the enemies are. Understand why they're fighting. Understand the threat and risk that is to us. And be prepared, have a plan. Semper Fi means always faithful. That's what I stand for. I stand for freedom and liberty. I stand for the United States Constitution and state constitutions, which within them are enshrined our rights, our God-given rights. I hope you join me. Godspeed. God bless America. Get prepared.
Are you ready?